For my community, I got to keep a close eye on this guy, okay, to kind of change the thinking of the Republican Party.
You really have to look the part. You have to look very feminine.
This is what happens when a fetish takes over a man's life.
I like being myself and authentic to womanhood.
I constantly go back to Washington, D.C. quietly and get some things done.
That's the story of, that's the glory of
trans.
Hi everyone! Caitlyn Jenner, formerly known as Ruse, has announced that he will be returning his Glamour Woman of the Year award. It has become clear, in speaking with many families, men and women, the distraught nature this acceptance of the award still brings them today. I can no longer in good faith hold on to this award. But as he's been sitting on this award for 9 years, my question is, what took you so long? It is, of course, no surprise that he's made this announcement hot on the heels of Trump winning the presidency. Partly because he's been saying stuff like this.
I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
We'll have to wait and see if Trump actually does any of these things, but Jenner's not stupid. He knows that the tide has been turning on trans for quite a while now because it's been one thing after another. From Leah Thomas smashing women's records, to the Wii Spa scandal, to male rapists in women's jails, to a Biden official caught stealing women's clothes. Jenner's basically going,
You know what? We're not crazy people.
I'm... So this whole thing about giving his award back, it's not stunning and brave. It's just...
Self-preservation is what's really going on today.
And he's not going to be the only guy doing this to curry favor with Trump and the Republicans. This video is about why we shouldn't fall for that, and that there's more to a man like Jenner making amends than returning an award. I've split the video into 4 parts. 1. Jenner's divine reinvention, a lifelong quest for womanhood. 2. Jenner's trans advocacy and his relationship with Trump. 3. The ruse of the respectable transsexual. And 4. What else should Jenner be doing? Before we get into it, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. If you don't know what to say, just comment, "Back off, Bruce!" And if you appreciate my videos, please consider supporting me via Patreon or sending me some love via PayPal so I can keep making more. Okay, let's go! Jenner's divine reinvention, a lifelong quest for womanhood. Just a quick recap on how he went from Bruce to Caitlyn and what drove him to pursue this with more zeal than an Olympic gold medal. As Bruce, Jenner found fame and success as the world's greatest athlete, winning gold in the decathlon at the 1976 Olympics. He became a symbol of masculinity and an all-American hero. But from a very, very young age, he'd always liked dressing up in women's clothes.
I didn't know why I was fascinated by either my sister or my mom's closet, you know? And I remember going in there, you know, so I put a scarf over my head, threw on a little lipstick, got in one of my, you know, my mom's outfits or whatever it was, and actually went out of the house and walked around. We lived in an apartment complex, walked around the apartment complex. And little did I know that that would be a pattern that I would do all the way until I was like 65 years old.
He calls it a pattern. I call it a compulsion. And these things have a tendency to escalate and take over your life. So he would dress up at home whenever he got the chance, but he would also wear women's clothes underneath his suit while out in public.
I did a lot of public speaking, and I would be up on stage and, you know, talking about winning and pressure, and I would be up there, I'd have bra and panties on underneath, pantyhose, whatever, because I could hide it under my suit, and just to feel a little bit better about myself, And a lot of times I'd go back up the room, cross-dress, and I could sneak out and, you know, maybe walk around the hotel or just be free for a few minutes.
And for years he was trying to figure out what it all meant.
You always wonder, why? Is it the excitement of it? Is that what it's all about? Am I really trans? Am I just a cross-dresser? Is this a sexual thing?
Now, he could have just gone,
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
But instead he made the same mistake that so many guys like him do. He started thinking he was an actual woman.
For all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
That his very soul was female.
My heart and my soul and everything that I do in life, it is part of me. That female side is part of me. That's who I am.
And not just that, but being a Christian, he started telling himself that God had made him this way on purpose.
Jenner said she always figured there would be an answer as to why God saw fit to give her, as a man, good looks, athletic ability, strong work discipline, but something else.
Let's give him the soul of a female, and let's see how he does.
God, is that true? No.
In God's eyes, maybe this is the reason he put me on this earth at this time and at this place in society.
Oh man, I hate it when he tells this story.
That is one hell of a way to dress up a fetish. Now, for many years, he was expressing his inner Eve in secret.
But I was good. I never got caught. Yes, I'm very proud of that.
Until he did.
Technology got me one time. My little daughters, who were like 10, right around in there, okay, I guess one daughter was stealing the other daughter's clothes. Okay, so she set her computer up in the room, and she put on that like security device so that if anybody walked in, it would videotape them. Okay? I didn't know that, okay? So everybody's gone. I got like 3 or 4 hours. Let's try on a few things here.
Now, if you stand on a stage and say, "Hi, I'm a fetishistic transvestite," people might go, "Keep it to yourself." But when you say, "I'm trans," people suddenly think that getting caught in women's clothes in your preteen daughter's bedroom is an endearing and entertaining story.
That's the story of, that's the glory of
Trans.
Imagine how this 10-year-old would have felt at the time, seeing her dad in her room, probably doing something like this.
And all of a sudden the kids come home and I hear this big commotion.
Yeah, no shit. So, what's a guy with a compulsive fetish to do when he gets found out? He starts living the AGP dream. Goodbye, Bruce. Hello, Caitlyn.
Caitlyn's here.
I mean, why wear panties under a suit when you can go all out on the cover of Vanity Fair? Pick up an award, not for pervery, but for courage, and even one for being a woman.
Caitlyn Jenner.
I like being myself and authentic to womanhood.
Womanhood unlocked!
I am so glad to be on this team.
And his insights into being a woman were just groundbreaking.
The hardest part about being a woman is figuring out what to wear.
Yeah, Bruce, we feel your pain. And it wasn't just him taking this all way too serious. The world did too. Vanity Fair called his coming out an
epic historic story.
It should really explode in the culture.
I know people love a good transformation story, but this just got
ridiculous.
She's here, please. Welcome back to Loose Women, Caitlyn Jenner.
You're not hot, Caitlyn.
I think I look hot.
All you have to do is look at this month's cover of Vanity Fair to see how America is more accepting of people for who they truly are.
But that wasn't enough for him. He also sought validation.
I am gonna go take a pee in the ladies' room.
And not anymore.
And he wanted that coveted F on his official papers.
And finally, last week, I got my driver's license. Picture and gender marker F.
I was able to get everything changed all the way back to my birth certificate.
This is what happens when a fetish takes over a man's life. It starts to take over women's lives.
Caitlyn's here.
And these men then start to encourage each other to do the same. It becomes a shared compulsion that creates some kind of feedback loop, where the more that one gets validated, the more they all get validated.
It takes a lot of courage, to say the least, to be who we authentically are. We just have to be so proud of ourselves.
And then they get political. That's where women really start paying the price. So let's take a look at Jenner's trans activism and his relationship with Trump. Politically, Jenner has always been on the Republican side.
I've always been on the Republican side just because I'm more conservative in my thinking.
Initially, it seemed that Trump was supportive of men like him. Here's what he said on the presidential campaign in 2016.
Caitlyn Jenner were to walk into Trump Tower and want to use the bathroom, you would be fine with her using any bathroom she chooses.
That is correct.
But then Trump got elected and started going against all this gender identity stuff.
I thought Trump would be better on these issues. Obama had put into place an equality thing through Title IX.
That allowed male students to go into the female restrooms.
And he rescinded that, which really upset me.
And planning to officially define sex in law as actually meaning sex, which he's also been saying this time round.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female.
Jenner really wasn't impressed with Trump changing his tune.
I don't know what happened when he got in there. And it was extraordinarily disappointment. Has this administration set us backwards? Absolutely. And every time they've done it, I've fought it.
And he made it very clear where his loyalties lay.
I am not a big supporter of the Republican Party. I'm not a big supporter of Donald Trump. I am a big supporter of my community, okay? And that's what I'm fighting for.
Behind the scenes, he was working to push trans stuff with the Republicans.
I work very closely with a group called the American Unity Fund. And their sole mission statement is to help the Republican Party do a better job when it comes to all LGBT issues. And they do a wonderful job. They are on the ground all day long to kind of change the thinking of the Republican Party.
So, a committed AGP working to, at the very least, compromise sex-based rights.
So I go back to Washington, D.C. every couple of months. Nobody really knows I'm there. I do it, quietly as I possibly can. And I'm happy that I'm on the Republican side and I got an in, and I can get in and I can talk to these people and say, look, we're not crazy. I do it all very quietly.
Initially, also in sports.
I also want to acknowledge all the young trans athletes who are out there, given the chance to play sports as who they really are.
But he seems to have changed his mind on that ever since the whole Leah Thomas thing blew up.
Honestly, Leah Thomas is one of the worst things that happened to the trans community.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's such bad publicity.
Yeah.
And has since spoken out against men in women's sports.
I don't want biological boys to compete against women and girls in sports. It's just not fair.
Fast forward to today, and he's meeting up with Trump and Elon Musk.
I think it's a good thing that I'm on the Republican side because I've got it in.
Because, as they say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
For my community, I got to keep a close eye on this guy, okay?
And even saying that he is not a trans advocate. I am not a trans advocate. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. But I am a trans person. Because calling yourself a trans advocate these days will only have others think of people like this.
We need trans people! We love trans people! Trans people belong here!
If you're forcing a trans child to go through puberty when they are trans, that is tantamount to torture. I hope the next time there's an invocation, when you bow your heads in prayer, you see the blood on your hands.
And that's not gonna help sell yourself as a respectable transsexual. Which brings us to part 3. The Ruse of the Respectable Transsexual. Over the last 10 years, we've seen so much crazy in the name of gender that when someone like Jenner comes along and says something sensible...
I don't want to ruin women's sports or discourage women from getting into sports.
It's easy to go, oh, thank you, finally. So I kind of get it when people start phoning over someone like Blair White when he says this.
Would you say you are a man?
Yeah.
Or Buck Angel when she says this.
You can't change your sex, friend. I didn't change my sex. I'm still a woman.
Or go, that's so honest, when Brianna Wu says,
there's no one that understands what a surgically hacked together target knockoff version of womanhood I am more than me.
But it's not brave to acknowledge your sex. It doesn't stop them from appropriating womanhood or manhood, and it's certainly not brave to present sex mimicry as a human right. I think we're at a critical juncture at this point, and we're going to be hearing a lot more from the so-called based transsexuals as they're trying to take the trans narrative back from fucking crazy to something sort of reasonable. They'll be on the biggest podcasts, they'll start their own, like Wu, and of course he calls his the doll cast and dresses it up all in pink.
We wanted to showcase that trans women are, drum roll, mostly normal women.
Ridiculous.
And he may not agree with self-ID, but he'll have an F on his passport. They'll take as much as they can when it suits them. Here are the 3 key arguments they'll use to get us on board. 1. The suffering. Most of them will center their inner torment when telling their stories.
When you're gender dysphoric and you deal with something like this that I've dealt with my whole life, you deal with it your entire life. I was really struggling.
Puberty, it made gender dysphoria like 1 billion times worse.
Nobody knows what it's like. It's just crazy.
They will often mention having felt suicidal.
You thought about suicide at one point. You write in your book. You said, what is it? I have a gun. I might as well use it.
It's an easy way out. You know, sometimes you get to that point in life.
My first really concrete, strong memory is trying to kill myself when I'm 5 years old.
Wu even weaponizes this to suggest that some children may end their lives if they can't get the care that they want. So based, so reasonable. Still, you might feel bad for these guys.
Poor unfortunate souls in pain, in need.
But we shouldn't stop there, or blindly accept this talk of gender dysphoria, because what is that anyway? It is a misnomer that relies on the highly dubious concept of your inner being somehow being misaligned with your body. Amy Souza and Dr. P have done some great work on debunking gender dysphoria as a diagnosis and how it got into the DSM. So do check them out. My point is that we and they are never going to get to the heart of the issue if we blindly accept this notion of gender dysphoria. In Jenner's case, it's how he hides his fetish and gets a round of applause for it. The other key argument is, I've made such a big effort. This is another way to tug at our heartstrings when really what they're trying to do is either trick us in not noticing their sex or getting us to a point where we think it's irrelevant. So they'll have tons of surgery, particularly on their faces, like Jenner, like Blair White, like Brianna Wu.
Our goal today is not only to change how the patient perceives themselves, but our goal today is to change how the world perceives the patient.
When people see me on the street, I want to be perceived as a woman.
And do their best at playing up femininity.
You never want it to look like a guy in a dress, okay? If you're gonna do that and come out, you really have to look the part. You have to look very feminine because it puts people at ease.
And it works, at least with some men.
It's strange just being in a room with you because I suppose the brain is so used to just separating, okay, this is a woman and this is a man. And you, I mean, is that what you're famous for, really, that you pass so well as a woman?
And I will also admit, my first thought was, she looks hot. Does it matter? Am I breaking any rules by finding you hot in that picture?
No, none whatsoever.
Pathetic.
Women do it too. This is the passive-aggressive version of be kind. I make a big effort to look male. I appreciate your respect in calling me he. It's very manipulative, and I find it offensive. All they're doing is reinforcing regressive, sexist stereotypes, and I want no part in it. So, when we're told to respect their efforts or their journey,
you don't respect her journey in any way.
I'm with Kelly J when she says,
I don't see why that matters.
The other big card they play is, it worked for me.
Now, after all of these years, I'm probably in the best place I've ever been in my life. I'm the happiest, I'm the most content.
My life immediately improved in like every fathomable way. I was instantly so much happier, so much more comfortable. I was able to be so much more social. I got a career really quickly.
Everything I've accomplished that I'm proud of, everything that feels important or real or meaningful, it's been as a woman.
This is their ultimate proof that trans is real and that transitioning is a legit medical intervention. It basically comes down to,
It's a new life for me, but I'm feeling good.
Maybe so, but it doesn't make you a woman, and in the case of Buck, it doesn't make her a man. And it's not exactly a rational argument to erode the rights of others. Hey, but it makes me feel good. So don't let these arguments fool you. They're still trying to groom us into accepting trans as the way of truth.
Joanna, I never thought we'd be here.
Really?
Living
Did
our
you never
authentic
think?
self, yes.
What we should be asking is, what the hell is trans anyway? As Kara Dansky pointed out in a chat that we had 2 weeks ago,
conservatives as well as liberals have accepted without criticism or question the idea that transgender is a coherent category of people.
For all Trump's tough talk, true trans might well appeal to the Republicans because it's about conforming to conservative ideas of what men and women should look and act like.
The political right is now prime real estate for the gender industry. And so my worry is that the industry, which is very well funded, I worry that they will now buy the political right in the way that they have already bought the political left.
But I don't think that we should put people on a pedestal. I hope there's a serious consideration for a consequential role in the administration, just for looking halfway sane compared to the likes of Jeffrey Marsh.
Biological sex is fake.
Alec Vape-Manon.
I don't identify as a man or a woman.
And Alex Drummond.
I'm also widening the bandwidth of how to be a woman.
Because that's not hard, is it? And for me, it really doesn't matter if these guys are trying to normalize the bulge or find better ways of tucking.
Well, okay, I was going to ask about tucking.
Can we finally have this conversation? I've never had this conversation with anyone.
They're all still men. And that's why we shouldn't call any of them she or her. Because when you do that, you're just fooling yourself and clouding your judgment. So when any of these respectable transsexuals talk an itsy bit of common sense, look how far this sense goes. What language do they use? What do they support? What are they trying to eke out for themselves that still compromises the sex-based rights of others?
I just try to use as many unisex bathrooms as I can, but I'm also not going to stop myself from using a women's bathroom if that's the only thing available to me.
How are they actually sustaining the madness they're claiming to be fighting? And how many others are they sucking into it?
Did I bring more understanding and maybe show some courage and how good it is to be able to live your authentic self? And because of that, has it inspired other people? Yes, it has. I honestly, people come up almost on a daily basis and tell me that.
Giving back an award doesn't really address this, does it? Okay, let's have a look at what else Jenner could be doing. What else should Jenner do? Here is my wish list. Stop calling yourself a trans woman.
I'm trying to figure this womanhood thing out.
Or any kind of woman. Stay out of women's spaces. Stop force-teaming gays and lesbians with the T. Because straight men with a fetish and gays and lesbians, we're not on the same team. Stop telling yourself you have a female soul. It's sexist. Stop telling yourself God made you this way. Your fetish is not divine. And start recognizing that you're still a bloke. Don't think I'll be getting any of that for Christmas, but do let me know in the comments what you think he should be doing and shouldn't be doing. But it's not just about these men and women, it's also about the media and the organizations that are cheerleading for them as if their life depends on it. So another thing I'd like to see is Glamour magazine putting out an entire issue dedicated to how all this gender madness is negatively impacting the lives of women and girls. There are plenty of stories to go around, so this would be an absolute bumper issue with stories of prisons, rape shelters, sports, the demonization of women, how girls are overrepresented at gender clinics, lesbians having to put up with girl dick, and I'd like to see them apologize for putting this woman on the cover and having us all believe that she's somehow a man, and apologize for giving Jenner that award in the first place. Hashtag Glamour Get Real. They could have the TERF Awards instead, and Vanity Fair and other media outlets too, because we're now at a point where the only sensible and reasonable thing to do is to stop lying and to stop pretending. This isn't gonna happen overnight, so we need to make as much noise as we can and really hammer down the message that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. A woman is a woman and a man is a man. You can try to pretend that you don't understand, but a woman is a woman and a man is a man. And I thank you very much for supporting me in doing so. Okay, I'll leave it there and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao! Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my PayPal and Patreon supporters. Because of you, I can make videos like this. Special shout out to my big spenders. Help Her Open, Mama Turv and the Turventines, me Julie, the lovely Mary, Julia, Dusty, Judels, Leffy, Dorothy, Wildfire, Esther, and Martha. Thank you.
ridiculous.